Hi, this is Eva for Midnight Mandela. Welcome, everybody. Okay, let us see who is in. Joan R. Games, Art Generica, Preliminal, John Austin, Sapioite, Art Generica, I think I said that already. Shari D is in. The Logical Danger, Kailuka Zachary, Morpheus Dreams of Sleep, Angels Don't Fall, Petite Ping Wong, and Michael Fontaine. Okay, so you're asking about the bug. Oh, Crunchy Bee and Linda Lava Lamp are also in. Yeah, I was tired, but this picture woke me up. Yeah, I think you're talking about this guy, which is, I'll type it out. It is a real spider. Poltys mouhoti. M-O-U. Whoops. So it's Poltys space mouhoti. And considering we've been looking a lot at spiders, this guy showed up. I've said before I don't remember these spiders with these weird lumps all over their back and stuff. They're getting more and more of them. So this one hit the airwaves on Reddit, and that's the one you're looking at. I believe this is another, it might be another version. I guess there's more than one of these poltys ones. And there's that one, and then this is the one that's on the thumbnail. I'll make that one larger. Okay, so as best I can tell, I think this is decoration. Weirdly, there's hardly anything on these. You would think that these would be like, pages and pages of info, but I think the head is here with the eyes here, and then these are all legs. And I don't know if that does anything. They're about, I don't know, they're like that big. They're not huge, not yet anyway. But they aren't small either. See, there's almost no images of them, which seems strange. You'd think that everybody and their uncle would be taking photos of these things. So it's an orb weaver, so it does webs. So there's other kinds of these poltys. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Ones. This is another one. So I don't get how this is one. Is it like it's got all its legs sucked in? Because they said this is also one. Poltys mouhoti. See what this one has to say. I'm like, but where's the legs? See, it's just weird. I don't see how you can suck in all of those red legs and have just that. I don't know. Is this green thing like the little castle that it hides in or something? Anyway, seems kind of strange. Okay, so here's another one where the legs are partly pulled in, but they're not red. There's, very few images of these things. Very few. And frankly, they all look like a different one to me. Like that's also supposed to be one. So, I don't know. That's a different one. So what are they all like? Some kind of, there's another kind of poultice. Anyway, yeah, I've not seen that one before. Watermelon kiwi flavored. Yeah, taste it and let me know. It looks like when that one type of fungus takes over an ant brain and turns them into a zombie thing. Almost all the insects apparently have the zombie funguses now. There's a wide range of different funguses that attack a wide range of different insects, like crickets and spiders and ants and all kinds of stuff. So that one's really spread. Okay, so got kind of a lot this time, so I'm gonna just jam along. So somebody put that poultice thing was on like one of the other Reddit subs. I can't remember, and I just saw it on. I think it was like Nature is Metal or one of those kind of subs. Okay, so just kind of miscellaneous weird stuff. Okay, so I ran into some article. Now I couldn't find it earlier again, but I saw this article that said that the Titanic was equipped with a giant underwater microphone that that picks up the sounds of like underwater bells. And it kind of sounded like it might have a bell also. So there's this whole story in that line now that around the late 1800s, they started equipping ships with underwater microphones and underwater bells so that they could communicate with each other. So let's see. Towards the end of the 1800s, increased ship traffic raised concerns about navigation. Additionally, the bright lights and loud sirens emitted from lighthouses and lightships did not travel far enough to warn ships. In 1889, the American Lighthouse Board mentioned an alternative underwater bell and microphone system devised by Lucien Blake. In 1901, a group of scientists who believed that underwater sound would provide the most reliable warning formed the Submarine Signal Company. So supposedly, the Titanic had one of these microphones, but it was kind of earlier in the game, so they hadn't set him up to detect anything besides a signal sent by a lighthouse. However, shortly after the sinking of the Titanic on April 14, 1912, within a week of the tragic collision, L.R. Richardson filed a patent for an invention that used sound and its echoes of objects to determine distance in air. So this is called echo ranging. A month later, he filed a patent for doing the same thing underwater. So it's like an early sonar, basically. So this is the microphone device that supposedly they used around then. Let's see. He was able to detect a 130-foot high, 450-foot long iceberg with more than 2 miles away. He also successfully detected the seafloor at a depth of 186 feet. Then I think in 1923, they started kicking these into more common use. They called them a fathom meter, because depth was measured in fathoms. So I don't know. It sounds a little sus, but it's sounds like this is basically the invention of sonar. But I don't remember it being kind of kicked in even almost before the Titanic. So I just thought I'd throw that in there. So this would be like before World War I even. Does anybody remember all 3 sister ships having accidents and sinking? I don't remember there being 3 sister ships. I thought that was just 2. Just Googled one. Was sonar invented in apparently 1490? Whoa. Okay, well. Sounds a little suspicious. I don't remember there being 3 sister ships of Titanic, though. I just remember there being 1 sister ship. Titanic sister ships. In fact, there was some kind of conspiracy theory that the Titanic was actually a sister ship in disguise that they screwed up on, and they wanted the insurance money, so they had it had this disaster on purpose. Sister ships of the Titanic. The Titanic was the second of 3 ships that were planned on being built. Wait a minute. That does not sound right. So why would it be a big whoop-de-doo if the Titanic built if there was already other ones? These were engineered to be the most luxurious cruise vessels on the planet. Okay, so, and I should clarify because I only heard about that second sister ship like maybe 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. I mean, definitely after I learned of the Mandela, and some time passed, and then I heard of it. And there was just the one. And I already was suspicious of that second one. So now that there's like 3. So yeah, it was the Olympic. That's what I remember. Here is some history and facts behind the 2 White Star Line ships that did not meet. So there was a 3 of total. The RMS Olympic and the HMS Britannic. So there was 2 more sister ships, 3 total. So what I remember a couple years ago, there's only 2 total ships like that. So now there's 3, and it's the Britannic that is new for me. The Olympic, there was some kind of a conspiracy theory that the Olympic, I swear it was like the Olympic, Olympia. The Olympic, let's see, little sisters to the Titanic. How are they sister ships if they're little sisters? White Star Line's ships that did not meet historic fates. Like the Titanic, the Olympic also had problems when sailing. In 1911, she was involved with a collision with a cruiser by the name of HMS Hawk. The Olympic received massive damage and was repaired using parts from her sister ship, the Titanic. After the sinking of the Titanic, the Olympic had a facelift that bolstered safety precautions, including an increased number of lifeboats and an inner watertight skin that was installed. The ship was requisitioned by British government in 1915 as a vessel used to transport troops. Okay, so and then she was just dismantled eventually, so no giant accidents. The HMHS Britannic was built under the shroud of the Titanic tragedy. Seems kind of unlikely to me that there's a giant Titanic sinkage. You're not going to build the same thing again, are you? It was initially planned to be named the Gigantic. Britannic was chosen because it was deemed by the White Star Line as a lucky name. The company had 3 ships with this name, this being the second. She closely resembled the Titanic. Added additional safety upgrades. Okay, let's see. On December 11, 1915, the Britannic began its short maritime career. In November, the Britannic struck a mine while sailing the Kea Channel in the Aegean Sea. The ship immediately began to sink in the same manner as her sister, the Titanic, despite the improved safety features which were installed. The true horror began when 2 lifeboats were launched and immediately sucked into the ship's propellers. The sinking of the Britannic made the Olympic the only surviving vessel of the White Star Line shuttle service. I've never even heard of this. So there's another one on the bottom of the ocean. Nope, sorry, I'm calling Mandela on that one. And I'm writing it down so you know I'm serious. Where's my pens? It's like no matter how many pens I buy, there's never enough pens. The pen monster eats them. So yeah, I don't know. You guys remember 2 sister ships to the Titanic? Orb weaving spiders on drugs act interesting and spin fascinating webs. Info is difficult to find. You know, all the animals are like drug addicts now. You've got those porpoises that are chomp on the puffer fish and spiders on drugs. Oh, it looks like there's plenty of images. Normal, LSD, marijuana, sleeping pills, caffeine, and benzodrine. Okay, let's see. Now this one. It doesn't say what they were on. What drugs were these spiders on when they made their webs? Normal. Chlorhydrate. I'm having trouble reading it. Marijuana. Ecstasy. LSD. And cocaine. Don't know what half of those are. Apparently NASA scientists get way more high than I do because they thought never crossed my mind. All right, so it's going through them again. Mescaline. Wait, this one's mescaline. Drug-free. Okay, it's one below. Marijuana is this one. LSD is this one. Mescaline. Caffeine. So I guess caffeine really screws them up. Benzodrine. Chlorohydrate. Minor sedative. So that's actually one of the worst ones, though. No video. So we just got images, but not much info. I don't know. There just seems to be like, this is like it's like the psychedelic timeline or something. So psychedelics are getting really popular, really rapidly. They're getting, California is thinking of decriminalizing it. There's a whole bunch of research all of a sudden on it, and all the animals are now like little drug chompers. It's kind of a weird twist in the Earth storyline here. Okay, so according to that thing, there were 2 sister ships and only one had an accident. And I think the Britannic was the one they said was okay. No, wait, it's the Olympic. Got a short memory. Okay, so Britannic sank and the Olympic was the only one left. I wonder if there's still that story that the Titanic was the Olympic in disguise, because if the Olympic was still around, then it's going to be pretty hard for the Titanic to be the Olympic. And that was, I believe Mandela Affected covered that story about the Titanic, at least one version of him. And also, yeah, I mean, it wasn't me that broke that one, but apparently there was one nurse being on all those 3 ships when they sank. The Queen Mary is still floating, docked in SoCal. Yes, I do know about that, since I live here. Violet Jessup was her name, and she must have been the luckiest or unluckiest person on Earth. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'd want to sail with her. Have you seen the arm poke having magnets stick to them? No, I have not heard of that. I might have to check that on the side. I'm going to write it down because I can't say the word too much, and I can't have too much on the screen, or you know what happens. Having magnet stick. Interesting synchronicity, because I went to the health food store, and this woman had this giant sticker on her arm. So, I mean, it was like this big. I guess she wanted you to know that she got the poke. And then there was like little writing on it, and I think it had something to do with the poke, but I couldn't squint hard enough to see it, and I really didn't want to even talk about it. But it's like, talk about virtue signaling, guys. Oh my God, it just was bad. Don't remember Britannic being there before ME either. Remember exactly the same as you described, definitely an ME. I thought it was only 2, and I remember Olympia. Yeah, okay, good. Olympia. Olympic sank 2. Yeah, see, I wonder if even that storyline is still there. Titanic was Olympia. I'm just writing it like that. In disguise. So before this, the story that the Titanic was the Olympia in disguise was good. You know, it there was a really good argument for it. Titanic, the shocking truth. Oh, okay. So the stories through there now, but it's just a switch thing. So they switched the Titanic for the Olympic. Slightly different version of that storyline. The first question, why would there be a switch? Okay, so the Olympic was badly damaged when it struck the warship HMS Hawk. There was a hole in the stern, blah, blah, blah. So it was badly damaged. Instead of fixing it up, they just switched them and then crashed the Titanic and got a bunch of insurance money. So that's the current storyline. But I really only remember those two, Olympia, I remember Olympia and Titanic. So now we have Britannic. Very suspicious. My mom said she went to the torch of Statue of Liberty. I told her it's been closed since 1939. Yeah, then what did she say when you said that? Did she like storm out, not want to talk about it, tell you you were wrong? Someone told me about rainbow trees. I wonder if he had gotten this information from this channel. Yeah, well, you know, those things are kind of making the rounds on like nature programs and stuff. How did they give them the drugs? I was kind of wondering that. I can only imagine that they must have injected them. See if the Great Wall of India shifted again. It keeps coming back and disappearing. I don't know. The Great Wall of India has been pretty stably in there since it showed up for me. Was it a couple years ago? Doink. I haven't like looked for it and not found it since it did show. I wouldn't be surprised if it's changed some though. Okay, so I remember this kind of the bumpy ones. What I don't remember is this part. Kumbhalgarh Fort Wall, the Great Wall of India. I don't remember seeing this image. Let's load it. I'm not really surprised. I don't remember this side all like this. It's almost like it got fatter. I remember that size. It was just this and not this half before. Interesting. Can't say I'm shocked. It seems like that's how these things come. They come in and then they just like grow. They're like seeds. I wonder if it's our own attention that grows them or what. It's like they come out and they have to advertise themselves. And then after they advertise themselves, they get bigger and bigger. We walked on the Great Wall of India. See, I don't remember ever seeing this part. I definitely went through every video I could find, or every image. Now, this one I do remember. And, you know, this Great Wall has been around for how long? So there should be plenty of images from all angles. I do not remember any image like that. Now there's a bunch of them. Don't remember that image. I wonder what it would be like to be there. Would this stuff be like growing every day if I went there and lived there for a year? What if there's a map of these? All right, it's showing me. Inland Customs Line, that's not it. Let me see how many miles it is. Kumbhalgarh. I don't remember this Kumbhalgarh as a Miwar fortress either. I don't remember that part of the story. Like Miwar. I've never heard that word before. Included in hill forts of Rajasthan. You know, it's weird. It doesn't say how many feet of wall it has. So, massive gate. La Cola tank is the most notable tank inside the fort. So I'm assuming they mean tank like vessel-like shape versus, you know, the rolling tanks that shoot things out the front. The tank had a depth of 400 feet during independence and since then has been raised to 60 feet. So what are they putting water in these? I haven't heard of anything about these being storage before. Badsahi Bhavdi is a stepped tank having been built after the invasion of Shahbaz Khan in 1578, the general of Akbar the Great, to provide water to the troops. Woohoo! Okay, so that is... I was kind of wondering why that shape. I had not seen anything about these being water storage vessels before. All right, and we've got nothing on... There's nothing on length of... wait, here we go. Built on a hilltop above sea level on Aravalli Range. The fort of Kumbhalgarh has perimeter walls that extend 36 kilometers or 22 miles, making it one of the longest walls in the world. I do think that is longer than I recall the last time. The frontal walls are 15 feet thick. Kumbhalgarh has 7 fortified gateways. There are over 360 temples within the fort, 300 ancient Jain and the rest Hindu. Yeah, I think that this has grown, and I think we'll see it grow larger. Oop, oop, oop. BitChute has vids still, yes. Oh, was it on a certain subject? You can definitely find your conspiracy theory vids over on BitChute. BitChute sometimes is a little glitchy on replaying the videos, but it's not too bad. What if our timeline shifts and Titanic never sank? There might be a lot of shifts till we get to there. Also, we're watching it really. I don't know. It seems like the brain just kind of shifts away and doesn't pay attention to something, and then that shifts. It seems like it's less likely to shift when we're watching it like a hawk. Or it shifts like little bits. Like, I think it's possible that we might eventually get to where, like, well, it didn't exactly sink. It just kind of sank or something. I mean, that's how it likes to work. Just... There'll be some lame excuse why we thought it sank. I remember the Great Wall of India having beautiful animal carving on it. The wall was not in my timeline, though. The wall has changed big times. Yep. Those tank things look a little larger, too, I think. I've talked to people from India. They said they never heard of it. Yeah, just 300 temples. Crazy. India and China never shared a border in my timeline. I agree with you there. Greenland is 10 times bigger. Yep. I mean, part of it is that it shifted up, so there's that whole map projections thing. But even if you go to a map that accounts for that, or like look at a globe, it's still larger. Maybe not 10 times larger, but it's still larger. Woody Harrelson is back to Harrelson again. No, I think it was always Harrison for me. Yeah, I think that was always Harrison for me. So is it back to Harrison, or no, it's at Harrelson now. So that would not be mine. There were just a few pics from small segments of India while online. These structures are all new for me. Yeah, it's not like they just built it, so there's really no reason for there not to be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of photos of that thing. Hadn't heard of it all since I haven't been here in a while. It's actually quite a while ago that we discussed that one, I think. There are news clippings of the Titanic not shifting. I'm not sure what you mean by not shifting. Have any of you heard of Carmen a hip hopera? No. I'm pretty sure I haven't. Let's check it out. It's kind of one of these, like, what am I getting myself into? Because the name doesn't really give you a clue. A hip hopera is a 2001 American made-for-television drama musical romance film produced by MTV and directed by Robert Townsend. The film stars Beyonce Knowles in her debut acting role. Okay, so it's some weird movie? Okay, I have no comment. I don't know anything about that stuff. A hip opera is based on 1875 opera Carmen and comes from the original 1943 Broadway adaptation, Carmen Jones. Okay, I cry uncle. No idea. It stars beyond the 90s and is truly terrible. That would not shock me. I've certainly never heard of it, but I can't say I really track that stuff. So you're going to have to decide on your own on that one. The Pink Lakes in Australia. Yes, I have seen those. Those have been on. That's an Emmy for me, and I lived in AU for 9 years. Ooh, when did I first see those? It was really early on after I learned of the Mandela. So it was maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. The first Pink Lake showed, and it was Australia, I believe. I wonder how many of them are in there now. There was just the one. Last I checked, I think there was 2, and they were kind of close in Australia. Australia's Pink Lakes. Eyre Peninsula, Lake McDonald is one of the country's most intensely pink lakes. 10 pink lakes in Australia you won't believe exist. So you got 10 of them now. Are you guys going to have any normal water? Ten best 10 best pink lakes. So there's more than 10? Gary Pepper. Hutt Salt Lagoon in Washington to fame with her Lancome shoot. Gary Pepper Girl did that Lancome campaign. Never heard of it. So we did a bit of research into the pink lake phenomena, and turns out there are over 10 pink lakes in Australia worth visiting. There aren't that many pink lakes in the world, but it turns out most of them are right here in Australia. Why are there pink lakes in Australia? Okay, Lake Eyre, I think Eyre, I don't know how to say it, but I believe that was one of the ones I originally saw. First, it has to be a salt lake. During the hot weather, the algae in the water mixes with salts to turn the lake pink. It is simple as that. Most pink lakes don't stay pink permanently. They change color all the time, mostly from a lilac to a bright bubblegum pink color throughout the day and in certain times of the year. Oh, so it changes daily now. If you're wondering whether you can swim in a pink lake, there's no reason why you can't, but most pink lakes in Australia are off limits as the locals are trying to protect them. Make sure you don't have any open wounds as they'll be seeing a lot of salt in them. Lake Hillier. I think that's the first one I saw. The most famous pink lake is Lake Hillier. Hillier. Pink Lake and Lake Warden. Have not heard of that, but it's pretty pink. Lake Hutt Lagoon, Western Australia. Have not heard of that. It doesn't look very pink. Quirating Pink Lake, Western Australia. This road actually, the lake cutting through actually determines that there's two different shades of pink throughout the year. All right, so that side doesn't even look pink in this photo. I'm guessing they say it changes colors though, or it's still growing into its pinkness. Westgate Lake, Melbourne. 2017, Westgate Lake near Westgate Bridge made global headlines as it changed color overnight to a bright bubblegum pink. I don't think so. I don't think we had more than 2 of them in my timeline in 2017. And there was us thinking you had to travel far to see the pink phenomena, and you can see it right in the middle of Melbourne. If you can leave your house due to lack of arm pokes. Pink Lakes, Victoria, located in the far northwest of Victoria, lies 4 pink lakes. Lake Crosby, Lake Becking, Lake Kenyon, and Lake Hardy. Although they aren't as well known as some of the pink lakes in Western Australia and South Australia, Victoria has had some awesome pink lakes worth mentioning. The colors range from mauve to classic bubblegum after rainfall and get whiter through the day. This is the first I'm hearing about the color changing like by the hour. I've looked into these a number of times. There are walking tracks between the 4 lakes, and you can camp at either Lake Crosby or Lake Becking. All right, if you can camp in it, then that sounds like you can go in it. Lake Eyre. Lake Eyre actually only sees water every 3 to 10 years. When the lake fills up, the beautiful wildlife bring the lake alive, and it has to be seen. Lake Bumbunga, Clare Valley, South Australia. Easy to get to. The lake is actually really shallow, so it's a popular spot for Instagrammers and photographers. Lake Albert, South Australia. 1 hour, 40 minutes drive south of Adelaide. Lake McDonnell, South Australia. One of the most popular pink lakes in Australia. 9 hours, 9-hour drive west of Adelaide. Previously a salt mine. Okay, so yeah, I think Australia's turning pink. Very interesting. Yeah, there was only like 2 last time I checked, and originally just the 1. Australia isn't down under, it's, you know, just kind of under. He's back to Harrelson. Okay. All right, Shari, then that would be a flip-flop, because I do remember, I think Mandela affected in that crowd saying that it had changed away from Harrelson. I think that's what they said. So if it's back to Harrelson, then that will be a flip-flop. New Zealand is huge. Yeah, it's big for me. I mean, it's not as big as, like, it hasn't inflated the way, like, Kazakhstan has, but it's definitely maybe 2 times larger. It's kind of hard because I think Australia, I'm not sure if Australia's gotten a little smaller, so usually you compare things to their neighbors, but if everything is shifting sizes, it's hard to tell. It's hard to tack that down. There's even a pink lake in UAE that apparently nobody knew of. They found it just a couple months ago. Imagine, not a big country. I mean, do they not have airplanes there? Nobody flew over and went, hey, what's that giant pink thing? Seems a little, what is UAE though? Help me out. UAE. Oh, United Arab Emirates. Okay. UAE pink lake. So now there's a lake in Southern California. Dang, I can't remember the name of it offhand. But it used to have like pinkish crystals in it, but the water didn't really look pink. But now it does. That actually changed some years ago. Where is the UAE pink lake location? Located on the Saraya Island in the I-Rams area of Ras Al Khaimah. The lake is nestled in a natural cavity 100 meters inland from the coast. 100 meters inland from the coast. That's not that far. To get to the UAE Pink Lake location, you need to first reach Saraya Island Rock. I mean, how does nobody notice? They have airplanes, I'm sure. Mystery behind Ras Al Khaimah's Pink Lake solved. So what, it's going to be salt and hot air again? Okay, so, So what am I seeing here? I am seeing a lot of tracks up and down this ocean beach here. So this is not a hard place to find. I would not be at all surprised if this thing starts out. It's a little bit small right now. A small pool on the shoreline of Saraya Island in Ras Al Khaimah has turned pink. The mystery has everyone scratching their heads. Why is the lake pink? Now scientists have an answer. Okay. Told the National red algae caused the water discoloration. He said the salinity levels were extremely high too, almost 4 times that of seawater. Now, how did the salinity get so high? I mean, they're going to blame evaporation? Drone images of the unusually fluorescent mini lake were first shared on social media by student Amar Al-Farzi. All right, so I'm looking at that. If the salinity is going to be 4 times greater than normal, then wouldn't it have had to have 4 times more water and then have the water evaporate? And kind of looking at this, it looks like it's fairly indented, so that could have happened. Like a high tide could have poured a bunch of water in here and then 3/4 of it evaporated, and that would equal 4 times more salinity. Sounds good on paper. However, I have a very fishy feeling that that storyline is going to keep developing and morphing, just because that's what we see. All right, so yeah, Pink Lake's taking over. So I want like more colors, I want like some of the Pink Lakes are purple. We've got green and blue. What's left? Purple, green, blue. I think that's all the colors, isn't it? Orange. I think the orange ones are poisonous though. Now they've just made a new movie called Shazam. Yeah, now the original Shazam had an extra A, so it was Shazam for me, the missing movie. But yes, I do think it's fishy because now when people try to hunt for the missing movie, they'll get this new movie. Very, very fishy. New Zealand's on its own submerged continent, Zealandia. Yeah. That's been on before. I think that's very fishy as well. There are news clippings of the Titanic not sinking. Yes, that is one thing that I saw on some of the other Mandela videos a couple years ago. Mandela Affected et al. Were doing those. So the clippings basically, they said, oh, well, the news just thought that that was the case, and then they found out that they were wrong and they retracted it or something. That's the story. Now, it sounds plausible, but you know, things are so strange nowadays, you can't really guess anything. A guy I work with says he saw the movie Shazam with Sinbad. I told him the movie never existed. There is no such movie. You should have seen the look on his face. Huh, yeah, I'm sure. I'm just curious if you know, can you get any info out of them? Because in my experience, when you really catch somebody with one of those freak out Mandelas, a lot of times they just clam up. They don't want to talk about it. They'd rather you just, like, shut up. They know they've seen them run out of the room, like, just, Now, you would think, like, they would just be like, really, really? And, like, get on the internet and search. That's what I did, But no, that's not the normal response. Next week there will be purple lakes, rainbow lakes. Yeah, rainbow lakes. Now we kind of have that though, because we have that, what is that, at Yellowstone, the Grand something. Dang, my brain is a little dead these days. Grand Lake. It's not Grand. There's a bunch of words in there. Hot Springs, Yellowstone. I think that'll be enough to find it. So we kind of have that already. Prismatic Spring. That's it. It's Grand Prismatic Spring. So it's pretty close. I think it's just missing purple. So this thing, when I first learned of it, was tiny. So we got what? Purple, then it goes to green, then it goes yellow, then it goes orange. So the only thing it's missing is extreme red and extreme purple. So I believe that they're calling this all bacteria is the storyline for those. That seems to be the two main storylines for the coloration. Or really just the one main storyline is bacteria. So yeah, when this prismatic spring first showed, it was small, and it's just massive now. And so now they have a bunch of other ones. So apparently these ones are quite dangerous. Mammoth Hot Springs looks like inside out cave. I don't think I've seen this. Mammoth Hot Springs, it's in Yellowstone? Mammoth Hot Springs. Gosh, anybody remember seeing that at Yellowstone? Now, I saw something like that in another country, and that's the first I'd seen where it has these like pancakes and stuff, and they had little hot springs, and people would sit in them. It was like a man-made hot tubs. I mean, like a nature-made hot tubs. Mammoth Hot Springs are a must-see feature of Yellowstone. Largely made of limestone, allowing the travertine formations to grow much faster. Now, I'm pretty sure you're probably not going to be able to sit in it if it's Yellowstone. Terraces. Palette Spring Terraces. Palette Spring Terraces. Part of Mammoth Hot Springs. Upper terraces. Now, see, here's where it starts to look suspicious. I don't think I've seen that before for Mammoth. And not here. Okay, well, it's hard to keep up with this stuff. Earth is looking pretty alien. Yeah, it's like Avatar or something. Somebody said me. We've talked about this lake here before. I'm not sure which one you're talking about. In the Quran, it says there are 7 Earths. I wonder if this has something to do with what we are experiencing. Are we switching to a different Earth? I don't know. South America almost touches Antarctica. I agree. That is not how it was. There was a lot of water in between, but that's been kind of like that for me for a while now, with South America being that close. And so it used to be that South America was so far and it from Antarctica, and it was hot. It was like way by the equator. So now touching Antarctica, the temperature must be a lot lower at the end of South America too. The whole ocean could turn pink or purple. Hey, they got those glow in the dark bacterias and algae. I mean, the whole freaking ocean sometimes, or big chunks of it, turn like glow in the dark. So purple would be like kind of a small fry. People agreeing the engines on the planes are to the front more now. I agree. Also, the wings are smaller and they're raked back a lot more for me, and a lot smaller. That's just continued slowly. Even my model toy airplanes changed. Doesn't seem stable from an engineering point of view. I think physics has changed, frankly. There are red lakes now, bright red. Let's see. So I think it was kind of like minerals was what they were blaming it on. The Red Lake Reservation is home to 75% of the tribe's band members. Okay, so that's not lakes, it's people. Let's see what we got for images here. A bright red lake in Camargue, France. Can't say I'm too shocked to see a red lake, though. We've already got bubble gum pink and purple, so. Its once blue waters suddenly turned a shocking shade of blood red. Let's see, when did this happen here? What I hated is when they have articles without dates. 2012. For a while there, like, so many things had happened in 2012, but then I didn't hear many like that. But just like the last week, I'm starting to see all this weird stuff on 2012 again. This incredible natural phenomena, as breathtakingly strange and beautiful as the effects of the aurora borealis, is the result of the lake's high salt content. It is one of many salt flats in France's Delta region where the Rhone meets the sea. Ooh, somebody gave me money. I heard it. Let me stroll down there. Nope, yes, nope, yes. J. Emblin, $5. Thank you. Very much appreciate it. Buffaloes might turn pink or become rainbow colored. I think they're working on like fish, monkeys, and insects and birds right now, but it'll come, I think. Then let's see, sloths are turning green, but they're blaming it on algae. Some cargo planes have engines on the tail flap. Plane with engine on the tail flap. Kind of curious what that looks like. That looks weird. All right, let's see. Did you know about the secret engine in the airplane tail? An introduction to the Lilium jet. Tailplane, also known as a horizontal stabilizer. Nope. What's the hole in your plane's tail? That one might take some hunting because I'm not exactly sure what it's going to look like. So apparently there's a little auxiliary engine back there. I really just couldn't comment whether that's a thing, a new thing or not. I mean, it's, okay, well, there's one on here. I don't think I've seen that. Why do some have a third engine on the tail? I don't think I've seen that before. It's pretty blatant. Let's look at this one. It looks pretty crazy. All right, let's see what they're... I'm sure they're going to say it's heavy and needed some lift or something. The design having a third engine is called a trijet design. It has had various advantages and consequent disadvantages over other twin-jet and quad-jet designs. Okay, there's another one. It looks not quite as... It still looks totally wrong. I don't think I've ever seen one with a big fat engine up there. Okay, you'll like this. The advantage of the trijet design is the wings can be located further aft on the fuselage, allowing the main cabin exit entry doors to be more centrally located for quicker boarding. Trijets are more efficient and cheaper than quad jets, as the engines are the most expensive part of the plane. Man, that looks crazy. Okay, whatever. I don't know. I don't recognize that, though. I mean, unless there's an argument that it's extremely rare, but... The blood red lakes of Texas. Oh, Texas has them now. Now, we have a salt lake here called the Salton Sea. I'm waiting to see if that thing's going to turn pink. End times. Texas lake turns blood red. Ooh, it looks like it really is red, too. Oh, no, that wasn't the same image. The Texas lakes that turned blood red this summer may not be a sign of the end times, but probably is the end of a popular fishing and rec spot. Of course, it's blamed on bacteria, which thrive in oxygen-deprived water. It's just heartbreaking. Blamed on major drought, end times predictions. Okay, so what does it say? It's interesting. They're quoting the Bible. The second angel poured out his bowl on the sea and turned into blood like that of a dead person, and every living thing in the sea died. The third angel poured out his bowl on the rivers and springs of water, and they became blood. So I'll have to say that basically in my timeline, none of these colored lakes and rivers existed. Water was just watercolored, which is a little bit blue. It wasn't screaming aquamarine blue. It wasn't purple, it wasn't pink, and it wasn't red. So the first I heard of it was they'd say there was some kind of chemical spill, and the whole river turned red. And I was always wondering, like, how much chemical can you really spill to turn it that red? So even before I knew the Mandela, I'm like, that's really strange. And I kept hearing about these, and I had not heard about them before, and suddenly there was 3 or 4 of them. So that was like the precursor to these red lakes, pink lakes. They'll probably have herds of unicorns at Yellowstone. Yeah, I just wonder if like that might be one of the last things to show, because won't people flip out if there's suddenly unicorns? Because everybody in the world knows that there's no such thing as unicorns, right? So, I mean, that would be the ultimate trip. Yes, it was Turkey. You're right. Those funky ones that I just showed, the plateaus of hot springs, it was Turkey. So Turkey, I already thought that was a Mandela. It was a couple years ago when Turkey got them. And I'm like, no. I had not seen those before. I'm not surprised to see more of them, though. Enoch describes the seasoned stars, plants, and animals all getting confused and acting out of order as the world gets more corrupted. Nature begins to stop following the ancient patterns. Yeah, they're talking about that every year where everything bloomed early or it bloomed in the middle or whatever. Blooming is off, migration's off. I haven't read yet, but keep seeing articles that CERN is about to discover a new set of physics. All right, let's check that out. Guys, you guys got a ton this week of stuff to cover. Evidence emerges of brand new physics at CERN. Something's going on, I think. So since yesterday and most of today, and thankfully not right now, but even like a few hours before the show, my internet was terrible. And so I went to work and I was trying to use the internet over there, which is usually good, and it was terrible. And that's kind of one of my shift signs, is when the whole citywide internet is terrible. And, you're worried that your computer is dying and then you go and your other computer won't work. And I have 2 different ISPs and it's 2 different parts of town. So unless they all connect at the same place, and, it's not even like a continuum. They just either are working good or they suck. All right, so scientists believe they may have discovered a brand new force of nature at CERN's Large Hadron Collider that could explain why certain atomic particles behave unexpectedly and which may transform our understanding the rudiments of physics. Authors of the research said that this week that the results should get physics hearts beating just a little faster after they discovered evidence of a brand new type of particle. Blah, 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 blah. The project has so far failed to shed much light on how the building blocks of matter function. According to the standard model of particle physics, particles known as quarks, many of which are unstable and exist only for a split second, can form heavier particles such as protons and neutrons. Quarks can also decay into other particles known as leptons, including so-called beauty quarks, which were discovered on the LHCb, the collider, in 2014. The anomaly spotted at the time was that the quarks appear to also decay into another type of leptons, muons, less often than they decayed into electrons. The standard model predicts beauty quarks would decay into muons at the same rate as they do into electrons. The only way these decays could happen at different rates is if some never-before-seen particles were getting involved in the decay and tipping the scales against muons. Until recently, there had not been enough data to say for sure what was occurring inside the LHC. The data showed that there were around 85 muon decays for every 100 electron decays. The author said there was only 1 in 1,000 chance of the result occurring randomly. All right, so it's more like physics mumbo jumbo, basically. So they might announce a new particle, sounds like. Not like I really understood any of the other ones. It also talks, I think we're talking about Bible here, it also talks about fruit growing upside down and sun, moon being off. Well, okay, we've got bananas for the upside down fruit, right? And we know the sun and moon is off. Huh, what's the Bible? I have not heard that Bible. Fruit grows upside down. That is interesting. Still looking for it. If you have the If you have the location, let me know. Apparently there's a lot of different verses about fruit, so... Okay, I'm not finding it. Sally Field without S. Yeah, Sally Field, no S, without S. Her brother's a top scientist at CERN. Yep, that one was up for a while back. They were talking about that one. Okay, and the $5 I appreciate. Wait, where did it go? I've lost my place. I'm having trouble keeping up. Everybody's lively today. So I'm reading comments from here. They discovered a new borealis from 20-year-old pictures or video. Really? It's not Steve though, right? Is it a different one? I want to see a pink sloth. Yeah, well, they only have green ones, but if they're going to start with the algae business, and algae can be all different colors, so they're saying algae grows in the fur, then it's doable. Once you start with the algae business, you've pretty much opened the door. Not yet. Because they've got pink and green snow now because of the algae, so... I would not be super shocked if we didn't get... those are a prime candidate because of that algae business. The Bible lines that same bizarre period up with opening of the bottomless pit and the abyss opening, causing the destruction of physical laws and entropy of reality. Did y'all know there's a bunch of particle colliders, not just CERN? Yes. Yeah, that's been covered. I know a lot of people are just interested in CERN, and it just seems like when there's a lot of attention on something, interesting things happen there. That's not my particular favorite theory, but who the heck knows? So yeah, I don't know. I think we might have had a shift because a couple days ago, like this one person I know just really changed in personality. So he used to be very like he never talked about girls. I didn't even know if he really liked them, beyond friends. It just was like he just never ever. And if he tried to say, "Well, do you like that girl?" I don't know. So then suddenly now he's like normal about it. He talked about the time his girlfriend's mom caught them in the bathroom getting busy, and all these stories in the last like 3 days, like literally more stories than I've heard out of him in like 10 years. I'm like shocked because now suddenly he's like normal in that department. It's like he's another person, frankly. I guess he's the same in every other way, but that was always one thing that really set him apart from everybody else. And now he's just like a totally normal guy. So I don't know what to think about that. I mean, I'm glad he had a pretty good life in this timeline, but I don't know. That one is like, I mean, if you knew him, I don't know. That's like huge. It's huge. I mean, literally, I've never once heard him discuss this stuff ever. And I don't bring it up because he doesn't like talking about it. And now all of a sudden, yam, 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 yam. Like, whoa. Jay, stay, getting it in. That's a long one. Welcome to the show. Or one, the fourth side of 3 is 1. Bobby Truther, a bunch of people in today. I wonder if the other timeline of myself is stuck with other timeliness of my family. Crazy. Yeah, I totally wonder. I'm like, is there other me's seeing like the timeline left behind and they're going, what? This isn't right. But I don't, that I always wonder about that. My grandmother's eyes changed colors. My mother's blood type changed. Their personalities are different. Yes, it's such a trip. My mother does not see this. However, she's still my mother. We do not turn our backs on the people we need the most help. Yeah, they're still essentially the same. I mean, they still have like the usually, I don't know. For me, they mostly are. But I'll tell you, my one friend, he's changed so much that we don't really have that much of a connection anymore. He used to like talking and we just chit chat. And now he's kind of quiet and surly. And it seems like after like an hour of being around anybody, he just wants to go home. So, and even when he's there, he doesn't really sound like he's having that great a time. So it's kind of hard to be friends now because it kind of like he just wants to go home all the time, and do his own thing. So, I still see him, but not that much. It's like he doesn't want to have a conversation and he doesn't want to do anything. So, what if people grow gills and can breathe underwater? That would be really cool. A bacteria called Cupirovidis methyldurins eats gold chloride, a nasty toxin, and poops out 24-karat gold nuggets. You can't make this up. So, like the ultimate alchemy, they just needed like bacteria, apparently. Let's check this one out. Let's see. Non-spore forming gram-negative. What do you mean non-spore forming gram-negative bacterium? When do bacteria create spores? I thought that was a fungal thing. That actually catches my attention. Do bacteria make spores? So I thought bacteria just divided. Mitosis. I don't remember anything about spores. Bacterial spores. Bacterial spores are highly resistant dormant structures formed in response to adverse environmental conditions. They help in the survival of organisms during adverse environmental conditions. They do not have a role in reproduction. Note, spores of fungi have a reproductive role. Not all bacteria are capable of forming spores, but some well-known pathogens like anthrax, tetanus, botulism do, making them a topic of interest. Okay, so that probably explains how those things are so hardy. I have never heard of bacterial spores, though. That's a new one on me. Put that one in. Man, this is like the... I didn't even look for Mandelas because you guys came up with so many and I'm like stumbling over them and I had plenty for the show. So, okay, I didn't even look at this thing yet. Let's look at these. It's an ideal subject to study heavy metal disturbance of cellular processes. It doesn't say anything about gold. Let me just stick that in the search. Gold. All right, here we go. Science alert. These bacteria digest toxic metals and poop out tiny gold nuggets. No other life form on our planet has infiltrated every environment. Blah, blah, blah. Bacteria. Okay, not much on it other than just what you said. Poops out gold nuggets. Cool. When gold compounds are also present, the enzyme is suppressed and the toxic gold and copper compounds remain inside the cell. This organism has another enzyme up its sleeve, which scientists labeled COP-A. Bacterium can convert the copper and gold compounds into forms that are less easily absorbed by the cell. Cool. Bacterium poops gold nuggets. Man, there's not enough room on here anymore. All right. Progress has been slow. We've got too many Mandelas. The atmosphere changed. The periodic table of elements has changed. Yeah, I was complaining about the periodic table years ago, and it's just changed so much that I can't even scramble my brain out to figure out what it was before. I mean, I know that there wasn't, what's that one that Superman was, the Superman can't tolerate that one. It's kryptonite. There was no real kryptonite back then, but now there is. That's one of them I definitely know is new. Kind of older new, but new. Just the fact that the arm poke has the pattern with the payment crypto built into the pattern tells me it's the mark. Oh, I don't know. I really suspect that the mark of the beast will be maybe like some kind of tattoo thing they've got lined up. So think about it. Okay, they're gonna push the arm poke passports, I believe, and then people will fake those on the black market rather than getting the freaking arm poke, right? So then once the fakes come out, they'll say, well, the only way to trust it is to have it implanted in you in this tattoo thing. And I think that will be the mark of the beast. Just my opinion, could be wrong, but there's going to be an actual mark, and that tattoo thing is an actual mark. That's my personal feeling for it. I live in Texas, and I have never seen or heard about red or blood lakes. Yep. Yeah, I think the other one's going to be that transhumanism thing. I think they're going to try to push that. Did anyone find oxygen bubbles breathing lizards? Oh, I should do that one, huh? It was just that spider that was doing it. Last I checked. Maybe a few other insects. So what we got? Oxygen bubbles? No. Lizard. All right, so I should put lizard in the front. Oxygen bubbles lizard. That might help. Ooh, yeah, check it out. Cool. So I said before, I think that, oh, you know what? I think we have had these on because I recognize this image. So I do believe these have been on. I do think that we have like a stronger surface tension on the water. I've said that many times. It's allowing some of this stuff to happen. So when did I put that one on? It wasn't super, super long ago. All right, I'm almost catching up with the chat here. You guys are really chit-chatty today. It's hard for me to keep up. Okay, progress has been incredibly slow. I'll see if I can get through a decent number of these. All right, I'm going to do my favorite ones. This one is left over from last week, so I'm going to get this one out. All right, I did Pink Lakes. Gabe, bro, 1. I think I still did that one wrong. Hold on. Stop. Don't want to play too much of it. Okay, so what is this one? This one is residual of our place in the universe being on the outskirts. And this one was found by Dark Wolf's Den, so good find. And he gave me permission to use it because he wasn't going to, I guess, have time to put it in his. So he basically just remembered Carl Sagan talking about our place in the universe. And we dug it up. And so he basically says we're on the outskirts, which is interesting. Let me dig out where he says it. Now you should be able to hear this.
Stars, all seen together, edge on, as in this picture.
Okay, so at that part, he talks about the edge-on line of the Milky Way. Now what I find interesting about that is he calls it a band, and he says we're seeing it edge on. But now, when you look at the Milky Way, it's kind of like a horseshoe pattern, and this does not account for that. So what I do remember, actually, is the Milky Way being a straight band like he shows it here. And that's why I put this part in, is although it's not the specific part I was talking about. He doesn't really explain why it looks like this in the sky. Our location is at 143.
We would be way out here in the suburbs, in the countryside of the galaxy. We're not in any important place. All the stars you could see would be in a little place like that.
Okay, so he says we're way out on the outskirts there. This is one of the very few residuals I found. And then he says it in a couple more places too. He says it over here.
Long time ago, towards the end of the First World War, by a man named Harlow Shapley.
Oops, I missed it. All right, so it's 203 that I need. 203. Here.
The fact that we live in the outskirts of the galaxy was discovered long time ago, towards the end of the first.
Okay, so end of the First World War, he says. I don't want to play too much of it because I'm skating on thin ice here. Oops. Okay. So he says it's by this guy named Shapley. Was discovered towards the end of the World War I by Shapley. So I looked up Shapley, and the weird thing is that it's like every place I saw, it was just super vague about that he got more info about our place in the universe. But they never say like where he said we were or anything like that. So Sagan here indicates that Shapley discovered we were on the outskirts, but I can't find any real clear evidence where Shapley said we were located on. So it's weird. So I tried to find like when did we know we were in the like middle-ish of the galaxy, and I couldn't find any information on that either. I mean, a lot of places just say we thought we were at the center, and then we realized we weren't. So it's just really strangely vague. Okay, so I covered that microphone one. Okay, this one was on retconned, and I thought it was really interesting. So kind of remember how you remember the Sydney Opera House in Australia. So that's the one that has those kind of like, it looks kind of reminds me of like layers of mushroom that's all white. And the one, like domes of white domes, like half domes. So what do you remember about the domes, basically? The patterns and the shapes and the directions? So this one was found by user on Retconned, known as Last of the Real. Kind of a good name there. Okay, so this is the one that people are like, who? People do not remember there being two separate ones. Even people who lived in Australia don't remember this and this separate. Now, some people are saying one is an opera house and one is a theater. But what I remember is there was a separate one on the back. So you can have an opera house pointing one way and the theater pointing the other way. But now it's divided like this, but you still have the one on the back. And then the back view also kind of changed for me. So here's the back view now. Okay, so what I remember is there was a couple of these dome, half domes this way, and then a couple back here, but there was not this separate beast, completely separate building back here either. And there's one other thing that really sticks out when you look at the location around the Sydney Opera House now that also really struck me personally. So I'm trying to find, okay, so here, I can't really find one that really looks like I remember. Because even this one, the back looks wrong. So I remember one here and one here, but not this. There should be two of these going backwards and three going forwards. See if I can even find an image that even looks like that, but I'm not. This might be the closest, but there was just not a separate third building. So there's basically two buildings now. There's two side by side and the third little baby one in the back. Like 10 years from now, are there going to be like 100 of these little dome things spread all across the lands? Okay, so now what else do you remember around here? Is this the surroundings you remember for Sydney Opera House? You guys got to chime in the chat. So this one, good find by Last of the Real. Does anyone feel irradiated at night? Like I honestly am not a TI. I don't know what that is, but I feel zapped and super overheated a lot at night. I've definitely had things like, and I'm like, it's like I wake up, I'm more tired than when I went to bed. It's weird. I do, and sometimes I'm hot. I've definitely had that, and for years now. So I've been taking like anti-inflammatories, and that's helped a lot. The other thing I've been actually doing lately that's really been helping is coconut cream of all things. I think it's the lauric acid and the monolaurin. It does interesting things to the glial cells, helps feed and send them into ketosis, which can be good. And it's very anti-inflammatory, and it also kills candida. So, you know, I don't know what it's doing, but I definitely do feel better if I have a little coconut cream every day, which is interesting. So I kind of stumbled on it by accident because there's this drink I like that has coconut cream, and I'm like, every time I drink that, I feel better the next day. So I'm like, well, maybe it's the coconut cream. So I just started consuming some coconut cream every day, and that has helped a lot. So I've decided to get some of the pure monolaurin because it has a little less calories, and I'll see if that does the same thing. The thing on the top is too straight and pointy. I do remember it being, okay, this is the closest, but yeah, I do kind of remember them curving over more. I don't know. I'm not sure on that one. It's close. I'm not sure on that one, but I definitely don't remember the separate beasts in the back. I'm actually feeling sick for the past 3 weeks. Very bad headaches, body pains for no reason. Wake up more tired than when I went to bed. Yeah, that's been some stuff I've been going through for a couple years. I'm finally kind of getting out of it. And yeah, coconut cream, you add a little sugar, which is not ideal, but and I add a little cinnamon, or you can add a little cocoa, and then I put a little water in it and mix it, and it's a really good drink. And if you just do the sugar and the coconut itself, that also using it as a like a dip for strawberries is really good. I eat coconut every day, causes apoptosis and cancer cells. I don't think I had cancer, but there was something that's not been that great. I use coconut oil daily, face to toe. Lots of benefits. It really does help skin a lot too. And even scientifically, they've proven that it helps with like acne and skin problems and stuff. And it smells really good. And it's only like $4 a can, so the price is right. It's not like I eat the whole can every day. You can spread it out for like 4 or 5 days. A building which I see nearly daily has suddenly an emergency entrance, which it did not have before. I should have seen it before. Yep, I know. It's weird. MCT oil or powder in coffee. Yeah, it could help too. I don't know if it's like the middle chain fatty acids or what, but don't eat the can. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. Some people say it caused them to break out. I guess MMV, your mileage may vary. I don't know of anybody personally that has had any problem with coconut oil. And it is non-comedogenic, which is basically that it doesn't clog pores. So, I don't know, it's worth a shot. Smells great. What Bible changes have been noticed recently, fam? I don't know of any super recent ones. I really don't. It's not like I read it every day, so people got to tell me, and I haven't heard anything lately. I'm sure it's always changing. It's like so changed now that it's almost hard to see changes because it's like all changes. Like almost all the old sayings of, if they're not gone, they've been reworked. Like judge not lest ye be judged has now got some kind of other scramble of the same words. Yeah, I don't know. I tried MCT before and it's kind of creepy tasting, and I don't know. I like the coconut cream a lot better. I'm not saying the other one wouldn't work, but it was hard for me to want to eat it every day because it was just kind of weird. Bible changes every single day, but each translation is changing at a different rate. Yeah, that's another point. One changes and then another changes. They look more elegant, cupped each other like flower petals. Talking about the building, I assume. The Transfiguration of Christ is new. All right, I'll go back to the Opera House in a second. Okay, I don't think I've seen this one before. After 6 days, Jesus took Peter, James, and John with him and led them up a high mountain where they were all alone. There he was transfigured before them. His clothes became dazzling white, whiter than anyone in the world could bleach them. And there appeared before them Elijah and Moses, who were talking with Jesus. Peter said to Jesus, "Rabbi, it is good for us to be here. Let us put up 3 shelters, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." He did not know what to say. They were so frightened. Then a cloud appeared and covered them, and a voice came from the cloud, "This is my son, whom I love. Listen to him." Suddenly, when they looked around, they no longer saw anyone with them except Jesus. As they were coming down the mountain, Jesus gave them orders not to tell anyone what they had seen until the Son of Man had risen from the dead. Okay, I've never heard of that one. Okay, so this is when he was still alive. He foretells his own death, leads 3 disciples up the mountain, and there's where the transfiguration takes place. The transfiguration was a powerful demonstration of his divine nature and a manifestation of his glory, which Jesus possessed prior to coming to earth in the human body. Yum, yum, yum. Okay, never heard of it. Putting it on my list. I remember healing miracles, but I don't remember that one. The burning bush, yeah, but not like him. I don't remember anything like that. Shari D does not remember the story. Ghost Users thinks the language has changed, but the story is not, the concept is not new. There is now a mountain of transfiguration. Yeah, I've never heard of that either. Andela does not remember it. Ronan the Voice does remember it. So he brought 2 party members to level up and ascended class. Then he said, "Don't blab," which is interesting. And I don't remember any, I do not recall any stories where he said, "Don't tell anybody else." So that's kind of interesting too. He just said, "Spread the word." He didn't say, "Oh, don't blab." Okay, let's go on to the next one. Oh, and the one other thing that I do not recall on Sydney Opera House is I don't recall it out in the middle of the water like this. I remember it being on the shore. So it's now on this like stump or like a little, I don't know, peninsula of land. Trying to find an image that shows. Okay, this kind of shows it. So it's sticking out, way out. So I remember there's just a shore and it was on it and there was buildings next to it. But now there's not because the water is on both sides. Here we go. This kind of shows it. So there's this like little nub and it sticks way out. So for me, it was straight across over here. And then there was the Sydney Opera House. And there were other buildings around. There wasn't all this plants and stuff. So that's, now that was quite some time ago, granted, but still, this is kind of trippy for me. This is not at all right. There were buildings around it. Kind of looks like kind of small almost too. I'm not sure on that one though. So it's got its own like water peninsula now, which is cool, but that's just not how it was. Not for me. There are now many times when Jesus tells persons and unclean spirits not to tell about him. Yeah, that just seems kind of weird. Yeah, cool, but it was not like that. I remember it on land, but near water. Yeah, it was on the shore, but the shore was straight across, and so that you'd have the Sydney Opera House and then other buildings because it was just straight. It wasn't like sticking out like that. That's how it was for me anyway. There was on the shore, not on a peninsula. So Sapioid remembers the same. There was water some distance away. Yeah, there was like water in front of it. And I don't remember any buildings. So it was basically near the shore and in front was water. So you did see water, but not the way it is now. Okay, so where are we? So that one was found by Last of the Real, so good find. Okay, this one is just funny because we were talking about silly stuff from the past, and then on one of the jokes we made was about bloodletting because they used to say that they would like bleed people when they were sick, and I'm like, well, what if that becomes good again, because we've seen so many weird Mandelas. So I looked it up. Sure enough, bloodletting has benefits now. I'm just laughing. Did bloodletting snake oil does not yet have benefits. I'm waiting for snake oil to be the new miracle drug, but because the timeline loves this stuff. Just wait when snake oil becomes good. All right, let's see. Did bloodletting have benefits? Okay, so the story now is that staph infections and like pneumonia infections need iron to reproduce. The body has defense mechanisms to make it harder for germs to suck out iron, but deadly germs can get around the so-called iron blockade. So what they found was that if you bloodlet early on when there's a fever of these kind of infections like pneumonia, then it'll slow down the germ's ability to spread. This discovery suggests that bloodletting done early enough may have slowed staph infections by starving germs of iron. National Institute of Health iron specialist Tracy Ruo wrote in a review of SCAR's research. They have an iron specialist? Nobody's suggesting bleeding staph patients today now derided as a nonsensical, if not barbaric, custom. Blah, blah, blah. How could a procedure popular for 2,500 years have really been completely worthless? Ruo asks. Rualt. I don't know how to pronounce that. Rualt. Searching old medical texts, she found that starting in 18th century France, certain physicians advised it only, bloodletting that is, only at the start of a high fever illness. Even in 1942, medicine's leading English language textbook advised early bleeding for high fever pneumonia. That can certainly be described as a bad staph infection. Moreover, Rualt notes that one treatment for a different disease, malaria, is a drug that lowers iron in blood. Okay, so also, somebody was telling me that he found info that they're saying that giving blood regularly is good if you have high blood pressure because it keeps your blood pressure down. And I've also heard that giving blood often is good for certain people who have a tendency to get too much iron in the blood. They have to give blood regularly to get the iron out. So it kind of seems like bloodletting is making a comeback. Very interesting. Okay, got that one. All right, now we're going to get to ones for Jay Emlyn. Jay Emlyn found a ton of them. I can't really promise this is a Mandela, but it was so weird, I just wanted to put it in there. So apparently now they have these roads that they put in that if you drive over them, your tire on it makes like a song, and it's called a musical road. So by cutting different slits into the road, it makes like Happy Birthday or some other song in like car tire, I don't know, resonance. So here's an example of one of these roads. So I'm not going to play it because it's probably a copyright strike, but they're all over too. They have them in many countries. They've been around at least since 1995, if not earlier. Lancaster has one. Have not heard of it. A quarter of a mile stretch of road between 60th Street, blah, blah, blah. Replicate part of the finale of William Tell Overture. It was paved over on 23rd of September after nearby residents complained to the city council about noise levels. After further complaints from the city residents about its removal, work began to recreate it on October 2008 on Avenue G, this time 2 miles away from any residents. The road is named after the Honda Civic. It was opened 2 days later. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know. Have you heard of these things? Interesting. Okay, this one is more interesting because I don't think they could do this before. So this one, again, J. Emblin, good find, good find. So, now we've kind of heard about fish like jumping up rivers, having to swim upriver and jump over rocks and stuff like salmon. But some of these fish now like kind of climb them. They just kind of clamp on and like crawl up solid walls. So check these out. So these are all fish. Now I think I've had some stuff on where, you know what? I'm wondering if this video is actually a sideways river. Because that looks like the, this might be a scam. Because this looks like the shore here, and this looks like the sky. So I'm thinking this might be a regular river, and they just tipped the camera. Oh, no, wait. Okay, waterfall. It's a waterfall. Got it. So that's legit. All right, never mind. So yeah, these little fish here are like creeping up. You know, it looks so ridiculous. It's like my brain's like, no, it's a scam. I don't even know how they're clamping on there. Can anyone help identify this fish? It was shot in a freshwater stream in Rajasthan, India. About 50 fish climbed up the rock face and got into a larger pool. 2 days later, the water was reduced and the fish disappeared. My guess is some kind of river loach. Can anyone confirm this? That's a hill stream loach or a Borneo loach. I attempted to keep them twice in my tank, but they kept climbing out and dying. Now that I see their natural habitat, no freaking wonder. Real thanks for the video. Okay, so there was those. Okay, what's this one now? So this is a different kind of fish here. Viral video of fish climbing wall leaves netizens surprised. Everyone is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. But, this video is totally proving this idiom wrong. Also, this is making us feel like we were living a lie our whole life. Okay. So yeah, check it out. It's totally creeping straight up. It looks like it's using its mouth. All right, I don't want to watch too much of it because copyright strike. So yeah, it looks like they suck on with their mouth and they're like chew, 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 chew. So we've had these things on, but they were more horizontal, these ones. Wall climbing cave fish. I did not see any images of these Well, I'm trying to think. Maybe I saw these ones, but it looks like they're all doing it now. I mean, these are not specialized fish. It just looks like goldfish. Wall climbing catfish has evolution experts climbing probably the walls. Yep. Science exploring a cave in Ecuador was shocked when a catfish crawled out of an underground stream and climbed 10 feet up a wall. Did they witness evolution at work? Is this a sign of the apocalypse? Are the fish coming after sushi eaters? Man, you can't throw a rock and not hit an article about the apocalypse anymore. All right, so these guys aren't even in the water anymore. They just climb it up. So what, they live in the dirt, they live on the cave walls. Okay, whatever, guys. I guess you can just escape whatever's after you if you can just climb up the wall. So yeah, fish can climb walls now, basically. Why would they make musical roads? It seems like a lot of money for nothing, but I don't know. My ears changed. Yep. My earlobes used to be attached. I don't know what that means. Anything can happen. I know. This thing with the fish not staying in the water has really got me more because they just, mud skippers used to just skip from puddle to puddle and they could just stay a very short distance and that was it. But now they're like, fish are like going for weeks out of water and they're living in trees and they're just climbing up walls and craziness. Okay, so next one. So now we've got so more by Jay Emlyn again. These were all a bunch of them by Jay Emlyn. Now we have horses that do drifting. You know how cars do drifting? Horses can do drifting now. So there's been a lot of changes in hooved animals and, they've gotten hardier. They can lay down now. They don't have to stay standing up. But apparently now they can totally skid out. So check this out. So Jay Emlyn called it horse puntas, and I think puntas might be like skidding. I'm not really sure. So they have this thing. It's kind of like a rodeo thing, but it's not any rodeo I've ever seen before. So I had trouble finding this because they're saying it's called a chariada, which is like a rodeo. But then when I look up the chariada, these events are not included in the description of a chariada at all. So I've definitely found, like they'll say this is the 10th annual event of this. And so it goes back like at least 15 years. Other places are saying it's an ancient tradition from hundreds and hundreds of years ago. I can't figure out what's going on because there's just not enough info and it's not in English. I mean, I speak a little bit of Spanish, but there's 5 colors de caballo en torneo millonario. Tequila Hacienda de Tequila. All right, so So basically these horses, they kind of, so these are like some 5 of like the better quality ones, although I've definitely seen others. And this is from 2015. So they race, there's 3 parts to this. The first one is they race their horse, and then the horse sticks out its back legs like it's drifting, like it's like skidding. It's like skidding into home plate. So it sticks its back legs into the ground, but the front legs keep running, and sometimes the front legs even come off. So it literally looks like a cartoon. Now, I don't think that happens in these ones. Let's see. So then they start skidding, and they skid all the way from quite a distance here. I don't know why I'm poking at the screen like you can't see it. What am I thinking? Okay, wait. Let me find it. All right, fine. I'm just going to go to the ones I have saved. 542. I went to this guy because he's pretty good. You know, this might be, you know what? This is a different video. That's why nothing is lining up, right? That might be better. All right, here we go.
Amigos, viene muy rápido.
So you see the back legs, they're stuck. He sticks them. This horse is going to stick those back legs in.
Amigos, viene muy rápido.
Right there. These front legs are almost off the ground. 555. I think I take it. Then there's some more side view. I'm going to turn off the sound. I don't think we need that. So there it is from side view. So it's totally ridiculous. I think in my old timeline, those horse hoofs would just not tolerate that kind of harassment. All right, so they do that with the skidding. So this one is called Las Mejores 5 Calas de Caballo en Torneo Millonario 2015. I'm not sure what Calas is, but the best 5 something of horses in Millionaire Tournament 2015, something like that. So first they do this, and they all do it quite well too. I mean, here's another guy. Let's see. Skidding already by then. We have to get it before the skid. All right, here, this is good. So all the horses do that, and then after that they do this spinning around thing, which is not as weird. 606. So then they have to do that. Then they walk backwards, and I haven't really seen a thing where your horse is supposed to work backwards. I don't think I've ever seen a horse just strolling backwards. So it looks pretty weird. Doop-da-doop-da-doo. Some of the earlier ones had better backwards working ones, but I'm getting kind of lazy, so I'm not going to dig them up. Anyways, though, it's like drifting for horses, basically. I couldn't find the exact word, though. Actually, if you look up horses drifting, you actually find more info, even though it's like joking, than using the words that I was told was puntas, and then like some said it was chariada, but I couldn't find it. Es un suerte de la chariada muy hermosa. Suerte. I forgot what suerte is, but see, he's saying it's like part of chariada, very beautiful, is spectacular. Those that don't know chariada, something about doesn't know stuff. I don't know. But see, if you look up chariada, it never mentions these events. So it must be some kind of I don't know. It's just weird. I just don't think horses could do that before. So of course you got people going on here going, "Oh, you just didn't know about Chariada, blah blah blah." But this looks like another one here, actually. Whoop 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 whoop. And they have a women's event too, which is interesting. So they do this drifting for horses also. Okay, this one looks like he's ready to roll. Totally crazy. Okay, I think this is going to be a side view. It's like, yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I know I'm like playing a million of them, but that one is really weird to me. My girlfriend's personality totally changed 2 weeks ago. I end up having to dump her. It's such a shame. We were a loving couple until she changed. Thought she might be bipolar, but it's Mandela. Yeah, I know it's like hard because people, if you're just friends, it's not as bad. But there definitely is like I said, at least that one friend we're just not, he's just not interested in stuff anymore. He has his own stuff he likes to do now, but it's just by himself mostly, and his wife, which is fine, but he never used to be like only interested in his wife and no interest in hanging out with anybody else. And I hang out with his wife too, so she actually still chat. I can talk to her, but he's just like, he wants to go home now. So I knew him long before he even knew his current wife. So it's very long friendship. Okay, so next one. I keep hoping they'll say what the name of this thing is, besides chariada. Or horse drifting, and that's what some Americans are calling it. Fish climbing. Okay, I'm done. I'm half done. Whoa! All right. Jay Emlyn was very busy this week finding Mandelas, obviously. I had so many, and I didn't really have time to look myself. So there's also an ancient tradition of knife massage. Knife massage. 2,000-year-old tradition. Taiwanese tradition of knife massage called Dao Liao. Ever heard of that? I don't know. I mean, it's definitely one of those where you could say, well, maybe you just didn't know about it, but I think it's a little weird, and I'm just going to put it in there anyway. Oh, with knives. I forgot the with knives part. I don't know. Do you want to get... Does that sound like fun? I thought it was going to be some new corny thing, but no, they're saying it's 2,000-year-old tradition. I'm like, what? All right, stop. 5. Hopefully this is the same video. Looks like it is. Yep, this is it. So I'm just going to play a couple short clips. How do you get a knife massage? So apparently they put a towel on you. Thankfully... and they chop on you like you're an asparagus. And then there's different moves. Sideways chopping. No, it just seems so weird. Like something kids would invent. I don't know. People saying it's relaxing. I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't see those things. I don't feel really relaxed. Okay. So you guys have been to India. Have you seen this? Found on nearly every street corner in India. Burning fire pan, most extreme betel nut mouth freshener. Again, this is another one, maybe I just didn't know about it. It still seems really weird that you can stick like a burning hot thing in your mouth and not run screaming. But apparently you can now stuff burning flame into your mouth. Now, granted, they're doing it kind of carefully. One thing I noticed on some of these is the guys look like a little bit shell-shocked, a little bit after they turn away if they don't clip it. So apparently this is like everywhere in India. I don't know, have any of you ever seen that? So this one showed up, maybe like a month or two ago. No, like a month. I did see it on Reddit. I thought about having it on. Well, basically, you could now, if it's cold enough, a soap bubble will freeze. So you can have like bubble ice sculpture everywhere. So they're blowing this with like a little soapy material, and then they blow it onto the ice, and then so in my old timeline, this bubble is just going to pop, right? It's cold, it just pop. But as I said before, I think that the surface tension of water is stronger now, and it's able to hold together while it turns into ice. So it turns. I think this is a little speeded up, but I'm really not sure. Maybe it's not, because the bubble seems to be moving fairly naturally. I mean, you guys who are in freezing places, you can get the recipe for this soap. It's not like really complicated. Soap solution. There's a lot of different recommendations. I use 1/2 cup water, 1/4 cup dish soap, 1/4 cup corn syrup, 2 tablespoons sugar. So basically this is going to freeze, and then the soap will be gone, but the bubble pattern will just stay. That's them transferring it. So you can make like this beautiful land of circles outside. So the whole video is them just showing more of these. You get the drift. So they just get a straw and they dip it into the soap stuff, and then they blow these bubbles. So it's not even a fancy contraption here. It's very low grade. Yeah, so I don't know if you ever heard of this before, like a month ago, because I have not. Again, by Jay Emblin. Very good find. All right. 2 o'clock. I'm actually not doing too bad. So I think I've covered these Tasmanian devils before. John Austin brought these up. Good find. I believe that I said something about them having white on their chest. But what I do believe it's more now. And the other thing is I'm kind of seeing it on the butt now on some of these. So I remember the Tasmanian devils just being like black or charcoal. I don't remember any white stripes. The stripes are now spreading. I don't know, are they going to have like a giant bullseye because they've got it's coming off the shoulder, it's coming around the corner. Now they got some on their butt. I don't know what it is, why so many animals have this weird chest pattern of light color in the current timeline. Okay, so you look at this one and there's some white around the back, maybe on the stomach or behind the shoulder there, or behind the front arm. I really only saw, okay, here's another one with the white on the butt. So where are we going here with this? Is it going to go all the way around? What's the deal? Because it seems like it's definitely spreading. Now, but 10 years ago, they claimed these guys were all going to die of cancer and blah, 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 because there was a new kind of viral cancer that was spreading. But I guess they're still here. So, again, I wouldn't panic about the latest fear porn, because these guys were supposed to be extinct and they're fine. Decimated by face cancer. Let's see what the latest is. And that white stuff is not the face cancer, I'll have you know. Threatens local. We're still observing this decline. So they say it's 80% gone, and then they show a cajillion of the things. 2018. So, they were all supposed to be wiped out like quite some time ago, according to the old projections. I don't think it's going to happen, though. Oh, look, they're getting something like on their... Some of them have something on their top of their nose that looks like white. Oh, they have a vaccine. Woohoo. Yeah, we love those, don't we? Okay, I don't see too many more, but yeah, I think that white is spreading is the basic point. All right, almost had this one as my thumbnail. The Orion arm is now the Orion Cygnus arm, according to some charts. That thing is such a mess with the charts. I was actually trying to sort it out earlier today, and I couldn't quite. So, what is it? I think we're still in the Orion arm right now, but at some point they were calling that the local arm, and then at other points they were calling it Orion Cygnus. And I can't even figure out the timeline of when they made the switch from one to the other. So there's all of it concurrent. Now, Orion Cygnus, oh, I'm not sure if that was in my old timeline, but they're constantly all changing. It's making me crazy. I think those flaming dishes are put out as they stuff them in their mouth, but I can tell you that cheese still burns your mouth. It burns badly. Yeah, I don't know. The whole thing is kind of weird. Every corner in India, and I've never heard of it. Well, I guess. Okay, so next. Yeah, this one I almost made. So I've covered a Rock of Gibraltar multiple times. A lot of people remember it out by itself in the ocean, and now it's like a peninsula. And then last time I covered how I saw a lot of suddenly built up houses and stuff around it. So apparently now there's this giant airport. Let me just see when that thing was supposed to be even done. Probably should have checked this earlier, but oh well. About. All right, let me try the wiki. construction. November 2003, Monarch announced a new route from Gibraltar to Manchester Airport. It was the first route from Gibraltar to operate in North England. Okay, so bulldozer steamrolling being used during the construction of a new aerodrome on Gibraltar. November 1941. Holy hand grenades. Winston Churchill Avenue crossed the runway with the rock in the background. All right, it kind of sounds like the airport was constructed during World War II. All right, so it's been there a long time, guys. So let's just take a couple of views of the look of it. So no, I don't think that was there since World War II for me, because the Rock of Gibraltar was out by itself. And now there's a giant. So first we saw it on the peninsula, and it looked like it was fairly isolated on a peninsula. And then I saw a whole bunch of construction on this side, like buildings and stuff. So now there's this giant airport. It's right here. So this all built up last time, and now we have. Now I think I kind of saw this airport last time, but now it's like ridiculously huge over here. Yeah, so I call baloney anyways. Look at this thing. This is crazy. Sticking out into the water right in front of the Rock of Gibraltar. So anybody who sees that Mandela is going to be like, what? Gibraltar Airport. I was thinking about using that as my thumbnail, but the spider was too interesting. Look at that thing. Craziness. Okay, now let's talk about a new Egyptian god, Medjed the Smiter. Anybody heard of Medjed the Smiter? Don't remember an airport there. Medjed the Smiter. This one is really ridiculous. Spell that thing again. Medjed the Smiter. So, weird story on this one. Medjed the Smiter looks like Casper the Friendly Ghost. It's like totally ridiculous. So this is supposed to be an original image, Egyptian image of the god Medjed, the Smiter. So it looks like some dude with a sheet and eyes, basically. There's another image. All hail the Smiter. Look familiar at all? Medjed is a minor deity who's mentioned in the Book of the Dead. Known as the Theban recension of the Book of the Dead, it states, I know the being Medjed, who is among them in the house of Osiris, shooting rays of light from his eye, but who himself is unseen. He goeth round about heaven, robed in the flame of his mouth, commanding Hapi, god of annual flooding of the river, but remaining himself unseen. Medjed is depicted as a figure in a conical covering, except for the eyes and feet. After this papyrus illustration was exhibited in 2012, there's that magic year again, at the Mori Art Museum in Tokyo and the Fukuoka Museum of Art, Medjed became a sensation on Japanese social media due to the resemblance to a ghost costume. The god was embraced by Japanese popular culture, including an internet meme as a character in video games. All right, anybody heard about this? So apparently there's this character. Ugh, I don't need that. So I was reading also that there's this Medjed person, this Medjed god looked like a character that the Japanese already had, which I thought was really interesting. Of course, this is not the most original looking creature. Here we go. I think this is it. Medjed meme. Medjed's name means the smiter, and he has the power to fly and shoot from his eye. In the papyrus, 2 vignettes are included which are believed to represent Medjed, depicting a figure hidden underneath what appears to be a sheet. In 2014, a game titled Flying Mr. Medjed was released, featuring the god as a playable character. Okay, so it looks like maybe they made it after. I swear I read somewhere that they said it looked like an already existing character, though. So yeah, anyway, I find it hard to believe that this kind of a character would sneak by without anybody noticing until now, but this timeline is trolling us. That's what I feel like. I swear, it's like, oh, it's Casper the Friendly Ghost god, the Smiter. We have a god for bedsheet. Nope, he's like flies and smites with his eyes, apparently. I feel like it's just trolling us. Like, how much more bold can we swallow before somebody goes, wait a minute, yeah. Ooh, I'm getting towards the end. All right, this one's just kind of a slow change, not a specific recent change, but like a creeping of the storyline, basically. Okay, so I'm going back to the salmon. I know I've covered these before, but it used to be that salmon would just turn reddish, but they didn't have like creepy beaks and stuff. So then I said, well, I don't remember them being that red, like neon red, with these giant beaks. Well, now the story is basically that so they would mate and then they would die, okay? But now they're saying basically they're already half dead before they even get to the spawning grounds. Like they're rotting. Their faces are rotting away. Bone is sticking out. And then they somehow, and I'm like, look at that giant hump. Come on. So while they're swimming up the river, their scales disappear. They turn red. They grow a beak. Their stomach and intestines wither away, and they start rotting with their bones sticking out. And this is already happening before they even get to the location. And also there seems to be some color changes, because for a while they just said they were red. Okay, so this was kind of the look with the red body. But now they're saying, oh, they've got like cancerous faces. They're zombie fish rotting away. And now they're starting to say like the coloration has like streaks of purple and black, and they're kind of insinuating that the skin colors are due to like the rot and stuff. So you can kind of see the patterning on this one is they've got like a design. They're saying it's like see, like here. See how they've got this weird, it's not pure red. They're like striped and black and blued. So that wasn't the thing before. They were just red. They weren't. So now they go straight past red, and they've got, some of them are all blotchy with like yellow and their eyes are all screwed up, and it's just like, look at these ones. They're all yellow on the face now. It's not just red. Then they've got the blotches. Look at that one. That doesn't look like red. So the story keeps changing, basically. So they're zombies now, they're saying. Like zombies by the time they arrive. Oh, check this one. See how it's all blotchy like that? They're showing them like that. Here's a image of it. View file. So they have a word for this bitey part. Gnarly kype and teeth form. Muscle degeneration. Skin thickens. One silvery scale absorbed. Why would they absorb the scales? Widespread deterioration of cardiovascular system. Stomach contracts. Intestines atrophy. Kidney, testes, and liver degenerate. Don't you need the testes for what you're going to be doing? You'd think that that would be the last thing to die. Okay, so I don't know. It just seems like this whole thing. So now you don't see the solid red that you did. They were all healthy and nice looking. You've got streaks of red, and then there's streaks of like dark gray in here, and then streaks of white, and I don't know. So I'm just calling that story I don't think is quite right. Okay, I think I've got only one left, and I left it for last, just in case I can't quite avoid the moderators of YouTube. Creepy beaks. But we can still eat sushi. Yeah, just wouldn't eat this. Eat it before it goes up the river, I guess. So, you know, it used to be that they would really like fishing these as they swam up the river. But if they're all rotted and stuff, even before they get up the river, that's going to be less the case. I don't know if they're going to try to fish them in the lower parts of the river now or what, but. All right, so this last one. Actually made pretty good times considering we've covered a lot of Mandelas. And you guys have brought up a lot. I'm trying to make sure I covered everybody. Everybody that contributed, that is. So knife massage was also J. Emblin. Burning fire pan, the fire mouth thing was J. Emblin. Soap bubbles was J. Emblin. Tasmanian devil markings was John Austin. Gibraltar Airport, J. Emblin. Zombie Salmon, J. Emblin. Oh, and Medjed the Smiter was Sapioid. So good find, Sapioid. That was totally weird. Okay, I think that's everybody. Yeah, sorry for the delay. Good job, guys. J. Emblin was very busy this week finding Mandelas. All right, this is an old one from last week that I just forgot. But it is actually mine. Okay, so you remember how they used to say that for reproduction, the man's contribution was the contribution that decided male or female, right? Either they donate an X or they donate a Y to the situation. If they donate an X, then you have a female. If you donate a Y, then you have a male. So any idiot knew that, right? Well, apparently that's kind of changing. So this article, the oviduct, is a complex mediator of mammalian sperm function and selection. Now, first of all, I find it interesting that it's called the oviduct. Now, maybe they're talking about multiple animals here, but it doesn't really seem like they are. So I remember this as being called the fallopian tube, and they do mention that. I've never heard it as an oviduct. An oviduct was for insects, not humans or mammals. So I think it's a little trippy to see it being called an oviduct, not a fallopian tube. It was always just a fallopian tube. I don't see why they would change it. Okay, so the oviduct is no longer considered merely a conduit that joins the uterine horns and the ovaries. Okay, so the new story now is when the man's contribution travels up the oviduct, that seed is like pushed into these side channels, and it's like trapped by mucus and stuff, and it's basically controlled by the oviduct to a very large extent. And the oviduct kind of decides according to certain criteria, like which ones to let go. So it sounds like they're kind of shifting over to say the oviduct decides which sperm's going to make it. And the story that the sperm swims up to the eggs now is debunked, or was always wrong, or whatever. And they're like, oh, there's no way they could ever swim that far. And in fact, lofted up by the actions of the oviduct and other parts in the female. Okay, so let's see. The mechanisms by which sperm selection might operate still remain a mystery, especially when the underlying rationale for such mechanism appears to acquire the recognition by the female tract of sperm qualities related to the intrinsic integrity and information content of the sperm DNA. The oviduct not only selects against spermatozoa containing fragmented DNA, but also imposes selection related to the fitness or quality of individual males. This implies the existence of, as yet unrecognized, mechanisms for the detection and interpretation of sperm surface markers that link phenotypic and genotypic qualities of each individual cell. So basically what they're saying is the oviduct somehow is able to sort them sperms and pick out which ones are either defective or just low quality, wimpy, or whatever other requirements that may be in there. And it picks which ones go on to the egg and the other ones don't go. All right, now they're talking about actually, I don't remember reading this far. The earliest insights suggested that oviducts initially act to capture the eggs upon their release from the ovarian follicles. Further research was not conducted until the 1960s. Once the importance of capacitation as an essential prelude to fertilization had been discovered, it became widely accepted that fertilization could not proceed without capacitation. The link between capacitation events and oviductal function remained unclear because a number of researchers showed the exposure, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so it sounds like they were well on their way by around the 60s. All right. The critical role played by oviductal content was demonstrated in 1967. All right, so this is kind of an old concept in this timeline. Anyway, it's just really interesting because it just sounds like basically the girl picks now, at least to some extent. And this article is from 2010 already, so it's already 11 years old. So I think we might see like a reversal of the old system, because they used to say, you know, that the guy picks. So I think maybe the girl picks now. Billy and fam donated Boku bucks to the math is racist movement. Yeah, I know, it's gone crazy. And they're using that whole thing to justify removing advanced math classes. They're talking about removing advanced math classes in high schools in California. And their rationale is that there's not enough of certain peoples of color in there, and therefore it must be bad. So they're going to remove it. I'm like, okay, so before you had, say, 3% of the class was people of color. Now you'll have no percent because you've eliminated the class. But what they're not talking about is who benefits from that. So nobody can take advanced math. But there is one group that can take advanced math, and that's rich kids. So I'm thinking a lot of this stuff really just hurts poor people and middle income and benefits rich people because they're going to take the private schooling and they're going to get the private advanced math classes, and they're going to be more ready to go to college. The other thing is, if you take these classes in high school, then when you go to college, you don't have to take them. So there's going to be more expense to the kids now going into college because you're going to have to take a bunch of math, just the more basic maths. You're just basically, okay, not enough of certain people got this benefit, so we'll just remove the benefit from everybody. And I'm just against it. I think it's gone too far. At least have something there for those who manage to reach it. It's crazy. Never heard of oviduct before. I just started hearing of oviduct maybe a few years ago, but it was always for insects. So that's why I thought it was weird to hear that now. So yeah, I don't know. I'm a Gen X, and I guess maybe we just can't understand the new generation. It's just their way of thinking is quite alien, for me anyway. But what it just seems like a lot of the new stuff is really just hurts poor people in general and takes away opportunity to poor people in general. And the rich people aren't hurt by any of it because they all can just pay for it. So they actually gain because they have less competition. They're not going to have the same, the poor people won't have the same education levels. They won't have the same opportunities. All of this emphasis on race, and what they're totally ignoring is class. So they're trying to make the races equal, but they're not doing anything to equalize the classes. So rich classes can just, give a little lip service to white privilege and then just go on exactly like they always have. And I think that might be a little suspicious personally. Nobody needs math. Well, see, what they're doing is they're removing all advanced math classes, or they're talking about it really seriously in California. They're going to remove all the advanced math, so all the more advanced students can just take the basic math only. Everybody just takes basic math. And it's sad because I do remember a lot of kids in my math class that were so brilliant that I think they're just going to be bored to death in basic math. It's just like things are gone too far, I think. Anyways, it's just, and I look at it and I go, who benefits? And a lot of times who benefits is the rich. I think we need to look at that. It just seems like the rationale is really strange. I mean, we could help get more people of color into the advanced math classes, maybe that, but no, we're just going to eliminate them. That's the solution. I mean, that's like ridiculous. That thumbnail will give people nightmares. I know, it looks like it looks like a hand with claws and stuff, the thumbnail. Who remembers the video of CERN, the guy holding the card that said Bond and Mandela, and that's how we all got started on this journey. I didn't get started on that journey with that one. Somebody told me about like Berenstein Bears and stuff. That's what got me started. I didn't learn about the CERN thing until later. But yeah, it is weird, the CERN thing. I mean, it could just be the CERN was like, that guy knew about the Mandela and was just trolling us. but it is very interesting. My body is sore as heck every day. This existence is draining. I don't know. Yeah, a lot of people have been tired lately. It does seem to help, like the coconut oil, anti-inflammatories, eating really healthy, but it does seem like it's draining. Also, just like, I know this is kind of corny sounding, but if you really kind of just imagine like love going through the middle of you and kind of embracing that, I try to do that a couple times a day, and that really does seem to help. It's almost like it feeds you, Okay, anyways, I'm about done. I think I covered everything. Woohoo! Started with Emmy with street signs losing their color. That one I have some thoughts on. So a couple years ago, we were seeing all these videos where they were saying that the street signs suddenly got old and faded. So what I was thinking might be happening is it's just Mandela shifts where those street signs were put up at different times. So if you imagine this, maybe 1/3 of the signs were put up in this timeline way earlier, making them older. And maybe 1/3 of the street signs were put up way later, making them newer. So any signs that suddenly became newer, you're going to assume that the government replaced them. So you're not going to say anything. You're going to go, oh, look, we got a new sign. The government must have replaced that one while I was not paying attention. And if the signs are really close in age, you may not notice at all if it's changed because they're about the same age, right? So the only signs you're really going to notice is signs that were new looking before, but now look old and scungy, because you know that the government's not going to take a new sign down and put an old and scungy sign up. So that's the only ones that are going to get attention out of all the changes. So if you don't know about the Mandela, then you're like, well, how did that sign get so instantly old? So you're going to probably blame it on the sun, maybe, especially if you look up at the sun and it doesn't look all nice and relaxed and yellow like you remember. Another Mandela for us. Then you're like, there's something wrong with the sun, and look what it did to the sign. Now, I don't think there's any way it could really scorch the heck out of the sign without like killing you. But I think personally that those are Mandela. It's just people find it easier to distrust the sun than all of reality. So they come with I think it's just like basically another sign, forgive my pun, that people are seeing these changes. They're giving different interpretations to them than we have. Okay, so I think it's time for me to hit it. The Mandela effect started for me with the shape of China and the sudden nation of Mongolia. I had no Mongolia. Yes, that's a big one for me. Not my biggest, but it is a big one. Mongolia was owned by China. And all this stuff they're talking about the people they're imprisoning now, well, that used to be the Mongolians, that they were imprisoning the Mongolians and doing all this horrible stuff. So now it's other people that they're doing that too. Okay, anyways, so thank you guys. Found a lot for me. Gave me a lot of stuff, both in the comments and on the show, so I really appreciate it. The post box changed here. They were yellow, then they changed them to blue, but now they are yellow again, with a small part with blue on them. This is trippy, I know. All right, so anyway, I'm taking off, and so thank you, everybody. Think good thoughts, everyone. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.